Oh, yeah, please. That was literally me.
Hey, Immanuel, here with the Giving Tree team, and just having conversations about what God did on Saturday. And they're conversations that I know that you all really need to hear. We always think of Giving Tree as just being about the toys, but to see God at work doing so much more than that, changing lives, and really empowering, and I will say, like, encouraging to just see God at work. And so I'm basically going to just fade back and let the team just kind of talk and share stories.
It was really a special thing for me. This was my first year of getting to see the Giving Tree go live, and I got to see so much, not just the day of, but the behind the scenes. And Jackie and Chanda are two amazing volunteers who lead this ministry and make so much happen along with so many other people. And I think that's probably the first thing that impressed me was just underneath the iceberg, how much it took to really bring this all together. And I just got to see our Immanuel community come together in a really neat way as God blessed the day and blessed all the days leading up to it. And now kind of on the back end as we reflect and think about future years to come, it's just it's so much to consider. And I would say, for me, one of the neat aspects was on the day of just how much God was at work amongst the team and amongst the participants, things that we anticipated, but also things that we couldn't expect with just where certain families were coming from. And we'll share a little bit about that, certain situations that God led us to that really kind of opened our eyes and humbled us, I think, to be a part of what God allowed us to do, to be a part of blessing families. And I'll just share one.
Yeah.
For me, it was a family who came through, and it was on the back end. They had gotten their gifts, and they'd been through the whole process, which is just an amazing process, by the way. We take our families through to get stockings first, then they go to the chapel, and then they get their gifts. Then they come back, and they're led by our worship center, and we get to talk about our Christmas Eve services and invite them to be part of our community and our worship life. Then they go to the community center where they get to wrap their gifts with other volunteers. We have someone there to minister to them and pray for them and any needs that they have. Then they receive their food baskets, and then they're led out to their vehicles. And there's one specific family I remember as we were going out with them to their vehicle. They had a dead battery, and I and another one of our volunteers, Paul, we were let known that they needed some help getting a jump. So we jumped their vehicle, and immediately they shut their vehicle off.
Because when you have a dead battery, you ask a pastor to jump.
Exactly, yeah. Which ironically, like, I was the guy who had the jumper cables. So that's one preparedness thing in life, and I owe a lot of that to other great faithful men in my life who gave me those. So you can ask my uncle-in-law Julian Petzold about being prepared in life for that. But we got their vehicle jumped, and then immediately the family turned off their vehicle, and Paul and I were kind of like, well, hold on, we need to make sure the vehicle runs so it can let the battery charge. And that's when Paul noticed that their tank was on completely empty. They had no gas in their vehicle. And so we were able to go get a gas can to fill up at least about like a quarter tank for their vehicle. But it was just a little thing that I think can be a big thing to a family who they're doing everything they can to get by. And it was...
Hold on.
Yeah.
You are skipping over some details of the story that the people of Immanuel need to hear.
Oh, okay. So gas tanks...
They don't make gas tanks like they used to.
Yeah, gas cans are way too complicated. They got like all the little like triggers. You got to like pour it in. So long story short, the can ended up like spitting gas all over Paul and I as we're trying to like get it to fit in the tank and get the little piece to trigger to just empty the gas into the thing. So we came back in smelling pretty ripe from gas, and nobody really wanted to be around us, but we were very proud of ourselves for what we got to be a part of.
But you did a good work.
Yeah, we did a good work. And that was just a cool moment. And Paul and I were talking just about, in life, sometimes it just feels like God brings you to these thin spaces where we know God's always at work, God's always with us, but moments where it just feels like the barrier between heaven and earth, or when you see things coming together and you see God at work, it just feels like it's such a thin line between how things are meant to be, how the world should be, and how people should treat one another, and really what life in the church is all about. And I am just so impressed and proud and humbled by the Giving Tree team and what this event has offered to people, because I think it's allowed us to step into more of that, to be the church in a really powerful way.
Yeah. Well, and that family didn't ask for gas, right? Like, it was just like a need you guys noticed and like stepped in, and
that was just something that Paul saw, and met a need, and
Yeah.
and just the cool, there's such a humility in that too. Like it's not about us. It's just trying to be present with these families in any way that we can help, and they're so thankful. And at the end we're just like, hey, it's all good. You don't need to thank us. We're just happy to do this, and that's just a special thing to be a part of.
Yeah. But I mean, what a way to show the love of God, and like they're gonna remember that on Christmas, So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I think before we get too much farther, we should mention that it's not just the Giving Tree ministry, all the ministries that go into helping this. Like we said, when they get their stockings, they also get pillows from the prayer ministry, prayer blanket ministry. They get a pillow to keep for themselves and a pillow to give to a friend, which is awesome because these kids usually don't have anything to give. So that's really cool. And then every family gets a food basket with a prayer blanket on it. And then we also involve the school children in gathering a lot of the stocking stuffers and even filling the food baskets for us.
And as you mentioned, Stephen's ministry is there too to pray with those families, which proved to actually be a pretty essential means that day. We had a family come through that we didn't know needed assistance at the time when we were provided their information, and the mother was invited to pray with our Stevens minister, and through that prayer, we found out that she was in desperate need for food. She was in a situation where she was feeding the kids first prior to herself, and she was newly pregnant, and just putting food on the table was such a struggle for her, and just through all of your donations.
Well, she was under a lot of stress too, right?
She was under a great deal of stress, and she's had some previous situations where stress has played a role in her health prior, and it was a huge concern of hers. And she was also trying to be so strong for these kids and not let them maybe recognize how desperate the situation was.
She was recently single and
recently single, being doing this all on her own. Just a desperate situation, and just through the Stevens minister and her knowing what we're capable of, she was able to approach us, and we were able to just provide her with additional food from the food pantry, and then additional means to get other future groceries in the house for her. We just were able to get that ball rolling, and I know Pastor Doug, you're going to be working with her in the future to just try to get her some additional resources. But we would not have known about that hadn't been for that Stevens ministry portion of our Giving Tree ministry.
Yeah. Well, and then did I hear, what was it, her or was it another family where you guys actually got a bed for them because they were just sleeping on the floor? They had nothing in their house. Like,
so that was
what,
another
you
family.
said like they didn't even have towels or like I mean literally nothing.
Nothing. So that was a family that we knew about previously.
Okay.
That they'd been sleeping on the floor since March. Because it was mom with the kids that have been kicked out of the house they were living in. So they were able to find a place to live, but they literally had nothing. She was using her food stamp money to buy utensils and some kitchen items, which meant she wasn't buying food with it. So we put the beds and the mattresses on the Amazon wish list, and they were purchased by
You guys did it.
our Immanuel family for her. And then we decided that we needed to get her some more things too. So we were able to get her some kitchen items, towels, things like that. And then we actually had our husbands, Paul and Drew.
We volunteered them.
Voluntold our husbands that they went over with the Stevens minister and set up the beds for the family.
Yeah, and when they got there, my husband had noted there really, truly was nothing in the house. There's no couches. There's no tables. There's sleeping bags on the floor. And they're...
Like just even like eating on the floor?
Yeah, they said it looks like a model home.
They have like a kitchenette, like that extends out from the kitchen itself.
Oh, okay.
Per se, like a bar.
Like a built-in counter.
And then like where they stored their clothing was just like plastic kind of drawer bins. I mean, she truly does not have anything. And my husband, he said he wished that the whole congregation could be there when they put together those beds and those kids jumped in those beds for the first time.
The little 4-year-old jumped in, laid in, and said, "I'm never leaving this bed."
Yeah, so such a true blessing and an amazing family. And she's just forever insanely grateful to our congregation. Just, the tears that were shed just from her just being able to give her kids something. And mind you, she did not ask for anything for herself. So she's just, putting her kids first and trying
And
to
actually,
ensure.
the only thing the kids had asked for at all was a bed.
It was a bed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a bed. Yeah.
So it's one of those just hits home of how lucky and how much we really have, even when we think.
But again,
don't.
when you guys see those unusual requests on that Amazon wish list, there's a reason for it. And I'm always, every single year, completely impressed and just overwhelmed with the love and support from our parishioners, that when we see these needs and we challenge the parishioners, they just go, not only do they meet it, but they go above and beyond each and every year. And we couldn't do that without this amazing congregation.
Yeah.
Another thing we've handed out, which that family took advantage of, is Bibles.
Yes.
So we hand out the regular Bibles and also the kids' Bibles that we have. And second year in a row, we were running out of Bibles.
Yes,
Which
every
is an
year.
awesome problem to have.
That's the best problem to have. Yep.
Every year. Yes. Yeah. We had another family that we gave a car seat to. They had a new blessing, and they didn't have
Well,
a
and
car
you said,
seat.
and I heard that was kind of a God thing, because the
It was
family that
very much a
originally
God thing.
wanted or needed it, they actually didn't need it.
They had
So,
gotten
yeah,
one
right.
sent. So I was walking back with one of our volunteers, and she carried it into the chapel. And I saw a family there, a mom and a dad, picking out gifts. And we had known them from previous years, and we knew she was pregnant. And I knew they had another little one that would still be in a car seat, too. So I walked up to them, and I said, "Well, do you guys have enough car seats?" And they said, "Well, we're going to be needing another one, come a couple months." And we looked at the box, and we said, "Here you go."
Wow.
And the dad, he was just like, "Really? Are you serious?" Just couldn't believe that it was what they needed and it was there. So those are those things that he put that family there when we had the car seat. And
We knew we had another young family that had two very little ones that she, again, the father was unavailable because he was living with his mother and father because they were caring for him because of a recent accident he had. And she was cycling through the same 3 or 4 pieces of clothing for each child. And
The
that was one
5-year-old
we
had
knew in advance.
4 outfits that's all she
Rotating
had.
through. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, so she, again, when we presented her with that and all the gifts, she just broke down in tears, but she was a very proudful woman. And just,
I mean, it was,
Yeah,
for the
just-
5-year-old, it was 3
Yeah.
outfits and some
Yeah.
socks. But to her,
It was
It was the world.
the
Yeah.
world, yeah. And it's just such a, for us, we always walk around from the different areas because it truly does take the entire space here to make this happen.
Oh, yeah. Campus is busy.
I know. And when you walk from, the chapel and you see all the smiles and the joy and the shoppers there too. I mean, we have some of the same volunteers that have been showing up year after year. And they always say it's their favorite ministry for a reason. But then to see them, go into the wrapping center and the community center and just to see just the families and just kids down on the floor, on the tables, wrapping these gifts and just raising these kids at such a young age to just know and show God's love is just such a blessing. And then the pillows that we give those families, a lot of these kids don't have that opportunity to give away a gift. And these families really did love that option, that beautiful blessing to be able to have more than just something for their child, but something to share with a friend.
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love the Giving Tree ministry for that, like just that empowerment of I mean, every human being, no matter what you have or don't have in life, wants to feel like they have something to give, and so that's just such a powerful thing. So I love how much you focus on that, whether it's letting the parents shop so that they have that empowerment of I'm the parent for my kids and I get to have that pride, or just like the kids being able to give away a gift, or I mean, that's just I just love that spirit and aspect of the Giving Tree ministry.
Yeah, it's such a powerful thing. Just to build on that, like how it really keeps us in check too, I think, because a lot of times when you want to do a good thing, you can see someone as kind of like, that's my project, that's my goal, I want to bless someone. But this helps us remember the dignity and the value of every person. And I think like taking God seriously at his word to say it's far more blessed to give than to receive. And so to afford someone the opportunity then to give and experience that joy, right, of I want to bless others as I've been blessed. I think that's a step that we sometimes miss. And I am just like, I'm so proud of this ministry, how it really takes hold of that and initiates that in such a great way. This has been just an awesome thing to be a part of, to witness. At my first year here at Immanuel, to see it go, I'm thrilled to be a part of it. This is a really special thing that we do.
Yeah. Any other stories or? I mean, I know you have a lot. I know you have a lot. I was just trying to.
I think those are the.
I just felt like there were some big ones that
Those are really the ones that
everyone at Immanuel needed to
we'll
hear.
remember.
Yeah.
And
There were a
tugged
lot
at
of
the heartstrings.
Yeah, there were a lot of footprints put on some people's hearts on Saturday, and
There were.
they'll
there
remain
was
there for a lifetime.
one that was asking about Christmas Eve worship,
Yeah.
and she said, "I'll be here. I'll be
That's
back."
awesome.
Yeah.
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 So.
Yeah, to see like the attraction of being in worship and just like people genuinely like, I want to be here. I mean, that was, as a pastor, that's a cool thing, you know, where it's like you see people who are just excited at the thought of like, wow, if this is what this church is about, I want to be with you. I want to worship the
And
God
this is
that
who
you
God is,
serve.
yeah.
Exactly. Like if this is what your God is all about and you're reflecting that, like I want to be a part of that. And that's, to me, that's just what it's all about. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Immanuel, thank you. Without your generosity, this wouldn't happen and this wouldn't be possible. And just wanted you to hear some of the stories that you wouldn't have otherwise heard or seen, just so you know the impact and what God is doing. And so have a very merry and blessed Christmas. Be grateful for the things we do have, and just always keep your eyes and heart open for the ways that following Jesus is going to lead you to bless others. So have a wonderful day.
Amen. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.